What if the most powerful medicine for your blood pressure has been sitting in your kitchen this whole time? Most people diagnosed with high blood pressure immediately reach for medication, follow a strict low-sodium diet, and assume that is simply the life they have to live from now on. But here is what the pharmaceutical industry does not always highlight. Certain everyday foods have been studied extensively and shown to have a genuine, measurable impact on blood pressure levels. Not as a replacement for medical advice, but as a powerful complement to a healthy lifestyle. And by the end of this video, the sixth food on this list might completely change the way you think about what you eat every single day. So stay with me, because the information in this video could genuinely matter for your long-term health. Let us start with the first food, and it is one that has been quietly making waves in cardiovascular research for decades. Beets. Yes, beets. These deep red root vegetables are packed with something called dietary nitrates. When you consume beets or drink beet juice, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a molecule that signals your blood vessels to relax and widen. When your blood vessels dilate, your heart does not have to work as hard to pump blood through them, and your pressure naturally drops. Studies have shown that drinking just 1 cup of beet juice can produce a noticeable reduction in blood pressure within just a few hours. The effect is not permanent on its own, but consumed regularly, beets can be a meaningful part of a blood pressure management routine. You can roast them, blend them into smoothies, or drink them as juice. The key is consistency. And just when you thought a simple vegetable could not get more impressive, the next food on this list goes even deeper into how your body manages blood pressure at a hormonal level. Garlic has been used medicinally for thousands of years across dozens of cultures. And modern science is finally catching up to what ancient healers already understood. The active compound in garlic, allicin, has been shown in multiple studies to help relax and dilate blood vessels. But what most people do not realize is that garlic also appears to inhibit an enzyme called ACE, which stands for angiotensin-converting enzyme. This is actually the same enzyme that many prescription blood pressure medications target. By naturally suppressing this enzyme, garlic can help reduce the tension in your arterial walls and lower your overall blood pressure reading. Raw garlic tends to be more potent than cooked garlic, though both offer benefits. Even garlic supplements have been shown in clinical trials to produce meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic pressure in people with hypertension. The research here is solid, and the accessibility of garlic makes it one of the most practical tools you have available right now. But wait until you hear about the next food, because this one is often misunderstood and far more powerful than most people give it credit for. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula. These vegetables are extraordinarily rich in potassium, and potassium is one of the most important minerals when it comes to blood pressure regulation. Here is why that matters. Potassium helps your kidneys flush out excess sodium through urine. Since sodium is one of the primary drivers of elevated blood pressure, removing it from your system more efficiently is a direct path to healthier numbers. The more potassium you consume, the more sodium your body eliminates. Many people focus entirely on reducing sodium intake without ever thinking about increasing potassium. But research suggests the ratio between the two may be just as important as either number on its own. A diet consistently rich in leafy greens has been associated with significantly lower rates of hypertension over time. These are not superfoods in the trendy marketing sense. They are genuinely functional foods with decades of evidence behind them. Now, speaking of functional foods with serious evidence, if you are looking for additional support in managing your blood pressure naturally, check the link in the pinned comment. There is a product there that many people have found helpful alongside dietary changes, and it is worth taking a look. But right now, let us keep moving, because the next food on this list is one that people are often shocked to discover has such a direct connection to blood pressure. Berries, specifically blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries. These fruits are loaded with compounds called flavonoids, and one particular group of flavonoids, known as anthocyanins, has been directly linked to reductions in blood pressure in large population studies. One major study involving over 34,000 people with hypertension found that those who consumed the most anthocyanin-rich foods had an 8% lower risk of high blood pressure compared to those who consumed the least. 8% might not sound enormous in isolation, but when you consider that this effect came purely from eating berries regularly with no other changes, it becomes remarkable. Anthocyanins work by improving the function of the cells lining your blood vessels, helping them dilate more effectively and reducing arterial stiffness. Frozen berries retain most of these compounds just as well as fresh ones, making this one of the most accessible and enjoyable foods on this entire list. And if you think that was surprising, hold on, because things are about to get even more interesting with the next item. Oats. Specifically whole oats, not the instant packets loaded with sugar and artificial flavoring. Whole oats contain a type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan, and this fiber has been studied specifically for its effect on cardiovascular health, including blood pressure. Beta-glucan works in several ways. It helps reduce LDL cholesterol, which reduces plaque buildup in arteries. It also improves the responsiveness of blood vessels to nitric oxide, meaning your arteries become better at relaxing and dilating when they should. Multiple clinical trials have shown that regular oat consumption is associated with meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure, particularly in people who are already hypertensive. Starting your morning with a bowl of whole oats is one of the simplest, most evidence-backed habits you can build for long-term cardiovascular health. It is boring advice, maybe, but boring advice with decades of clinical validation behind it tends to be the advice worth following. Now we are approaching the final food on this list, and I want you to pay close attention here because this one surprises almost everyone who hears it. And yet the science behind it is among the most compelling of everything we have covered today. Dark chocolate. Yes, you read that correctly. High-quality dark chocolate, specifically varieties containing at least 70% cacao, is rich in compounds called flavonols. These flavonols stimulate the production of nitric oxide in the body, the same mechanism we talked about with beets. More nitric oxide means more relaxed, wider blood vessels, and lower blood pressure as a result. Research published in major cardiovascular journals has found that regular consumption of small amounts of dark chocolate is associated with reductions in both systolic and diastolic pressure in people with hypertension. The key word is small. We are talking about 1 to 2 small squares per day, not an entire bar. The higher the cacao content, the more flavonols present, and the less sugar diluting the benefit. Milk chocolate does not offer the same effect because the milk proteins interfere with flavonol absorption. But true dark chocolate, consumed in moderation, is one of the most enjoyable ways science has ever validated to support your cardiovascular health. And if you want to combine these dietary strategies with additional natural support, do not forget to check the link in the pinned comment. The product there is specifically designed to complement the kind of natural blood pressure management approach we have been talking about throughout this video, and a lot of people have found it to be a genuinely helpful addition to their routine. So there you have it. 6 real research-backed foods that have been shown to support healthy blood pressure levels. Beets for nitric oxide production, garlic for natural ACE inhibition, leafy greens for potassium and sodium balance, berries for flavonoid protection, oats for beta-glucan and arterial flexibility, and dark chocolate for flavonol-driven vascular relaxation. None of these are magic cures, and none of them replace professional medical advice if you are managing diagnosed hypertension. But the evidence for each one is genuine, and incorporating even a few of them consistently into your daily diet could make a measurable difference over time. Your blood pressure is not fixed. It responds to what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and how you manage stress. And sometimes the most powerful interventions are the ones sitting quietly in the produce aisle or the back of your pantry. If this video gave you something useful today, consider sharing it with someone who might need it. The information here could genuinely matter for someone you care about.